unbox this shit. It's your boy Zappa, professional state ninja, and it's 4 a.m. and I want to do an unboxing. This is the Soltic H102 Bushman 172 scale from, even though you can't read that, that somehow says Fang of the Sun Dougram. It is one of them weird sunrise animes from the late 70s, early 80s, and this kit is brought to you by Max Factory. Once again, this is the first Max Factory kit that I've put together, along with the first Modroid shit and all that. I like to branch out and see how everything feels, because Bandai has its level of quality, and then Kotobukiya has its level of detail and tiny pieces. We're gonna see what this company brings to the table, since Modroid is a total crapshoot. It's on all ends of the spectrum. So inside, we've got our manual. It's a thicker paper that I'm used to, cardstock of some kind, but it is a book type. Over here we've got line art for the machine itself and a bunch of warnings, some specs for the unit itself. I forget exactly what they're called, because Dougram isn't even the main suit, and I can't remember, I forget what they're called. I'll look into it and I might pop that on screen. We have assembly warning, as well as a necessity, perhaps, for a little bit of glue. Also comes with some water slides. Maybe I will experiment on this since I'm not too attached to the kit itself. Here on page 2, we will begin some assembly. Looks like we start with the cockpit / head unit. Then moves on to the body. We go over to the arm unit here, as well as attaching. The arms are asymmetrical, it seems, which is always nice for me. I like a little asymmetry. Here's the centerfold, mechanic detail, details about the weapons, the transport unit that gets it around from A to B more efficiently, Bushman in action. And I do believe this does have an opening cockpit feature and a couple of figure or little guys in there. Combat Armors, that's the name we go. Combat Armors Max 07 Soltic H102 Bushman. And then on the next page we go into the legs, which follows into torso and waist assembly. And then finally the weapon unit, which we get a gun of some kind. I guess this is probably a shield or an extra ammo. It's an ammo clip. It's part of the gun. Durr. And a couple of, I guess, hooks on the back for, I don't know. I'm not sure, actually. Probably some small details. We'll find out when we get there. And then the color and painting guide, even for our generic pilot. This is not a ace unit. And lastly, we have the runner count, which also includes a picture of the water slides. And I'm going to guess, because this is grayed out like this, we are not using this part at all. I don't see anything that has any X's on it. So over there, aside, comes with, here we have poly caps in a bag. Looks like gun and waist pieces here. That's one bag. Here's the cockpit glass. Pre-painted. I appreciate that. We have various hand pieces here. This looks like it's probably parts of the arm and foot, which both of these are in separate bags. It's very unusual. Oop. Some color pieces that might be on the shoulders or on the feet. In its own bag. This is almost one runner per bag, except for the poly caps over here. We have probably arm, back of the hand, foot pieces. Another one. A few various joint pieces, because there's a foot there. These look like elbow pieces, perhaps neck or hand joints here, and clearly 2 of those. We have more probably shoulder and kneecaps. Here's our pilot, generic pilot, all in white, and this is probably a piece of the cockpit in here as well. Weapon or head pieces, I am unclear as of building, as of now. And then the rest of these, there aren't, for what looks like a large, like, blocky kit, there doesn't seem to be too many, like, large pieces. Like, this is the waist, so it can't be all too big. It just looks bigger than it is. And then, I guess your recommended colors, probably Max Factory has their own colors. And if, I wonder what this is. I think it's just like a generic, like, model kit, or this might be something else from Dougram. I keep wanting to say Votoms, and that's not right. But this is definitely interesting to get, like, a color palette advertisement. Oh, there we go. Dougram Color Series. And then lastly, I will finally dive into water slides, because there is this right here in the top corner. Looks like an army crest, or oh no, that's, I can't get it up on here. I'm really trying, but that is a computer cockpit, and everything else is just warning and marking stickers. Here's probably our faction logos right here. So I'll try to put in the cockpit sticker, this rank marking over here, and maybe one of these numbers in here. But stay tuned. In a few minutes for you, I'll have this ready to go. For me, it might be a week or two, you know, busy with all them Let's Plays and whatnot, dealing with that COPPA shenanigans. We'll be right back. And lo, here we have the Soltic H102, which is the manufacturer, the Bushman, its common name. Max Factory, to my understanding, is a subsidiary of the Good Smile Company, who also make Modroid and Nandroid figures and models, has let me down once again. But I don't think it's entirely their fault this time. Or maybe it was never their fault to begin with, and they just got to do what they have to work with. We have here a 172 scale combat armor from Fang of the Sun Dougram. However, 172 scale is about 144 scale on your average grandpa right here. With grandpa out of the way, let's bring him in, and note that he comes with 0 decals whatsoever. Anything on here is a water slide, and this is my first ever interaction with water slides. I didn't use them all, and see them here, the rest are back in their packaging, and I cut out the ones that I used, and of course the ones that I actually failed at. The triangles here are designed to go up here in this camera, but some combination of my impatience and they were too large for the surface that they're on, they didn't work out. The rest, though, the numbers are swapped around. Originally it was 102 through 105. I cut out each number and swapped it around to 501. That's a play on strike witches. I guess seeing it now up close in the camera, I didn't center the marking here, which is it's the end of the world, and at the waist here, as well as on the back of the heel, I got those backwards. I put the wrong ones in the wrong spot. That's my own fault. And then one last one back here. No regular decals, no stickers, no dry rubs, all water slides, which is fine. I'm willing to work with water slides again. Now, the important part, articulation. You can see inside here, it's got a bit of a moving shoulder bit, so you can bring the arm forward. This arm gets full rotation. They stretch up so high. You see the joint system that it has going on in there. It's a very tight ball joint with a little bit of back and forth. At the bicep, you will get full twist. And at this elbow here, you get only a flat 90 degrees. The hand here is a ball joint, but not your traditional ball joint. Let me pull that out here. The ball joint here is affixed and sandwiched into the hand parts, and then that just plugs into a polycap. So it's very unique, and the hands are seemingly a little too large for the model, but I'll get to that in a moment. On this side, the raising arm is limited due to the shoulder piece, so you only get up this high, but otherwise everything is exactly the same. At the waist, you get hardly any twist. At the head, you get hardly any twist because there's a cockpit in here. This clear piece, which is pre-painted, comes on a hinge, so you can see your little man in there. And I don't know if I can get the angle right. Probably not. But for my own satisfaction, nope, that's not going to show. Inside here is the first water slide that I ever applied, the computer cockpit console thing. Like, it doesn't show on camera, but it would show in person. Oh. There we go. Did I find the magical angle? Yes, I did. As the antenna comes in contact, you can barely see it on in there. And looking at this, we're already seeing some stress up here on this antenna, and I've only barely flicked it now and again. The legs. Oh boy, the legs. As I drop something I will show you later. This is your front kit. This is your front kit. Any further, that happens. Allow me to pick this up. Like, even that little bit of forward kit pushes at the seams. It's preposterous. There's no front kick. There's no like the knee has a pretty good bend, and though it's a bit stiff, you get some very interesting joint system for the feet. You do get back and forth. You do get side to side, which is a double back and forth because you get it like rocking one way and then rotating the other way, so you can always flat foot your feet no matter how spread out your legs are. The legs will only split this much. So, what I wanted to bring up a second ago is the fact that this model kit stays true almost down to the T for what we see in the original 1980 anime. This is the first real robot series that came after Gundam, so it's blocky as all heck. But they didn't stop to consider that, or maybe they did. They had to make an executive decision, and they chose to go with visual accuracy versus posability. Because you see a lot in the series, there's a lot of squatting with the Dougram itself, who has a shoulder cannon, kneels forward to fire. But this particular model, does not squat forward whatsoever. Now, this is a mook that you only see for about 5 episodes or so before it is like outclassed and out of range. And I mean that as in, like, they move to a different area where these aren't deployed anymore. It's just, it's a big disappointment. Now, talk about the runners. Everything is used up. There's several runners that we're going to show you something for. And only 2 pieces remain, which is very curious. So I imagine that this, where it says Max Factory's copyright Sunrise and made in China, it doesn't say that these runners are reused for anything, but there are 2 extra pieces. There's an extra wrist joint here, and this is the same piece as the cockpit, but in a different color on a different runner. So I imagine that at some point there is a universal similarity between bodies and joints and all that going on. Now, no, hold on. And of course we have a lot of extra poly caps, but these are like so stuck on there with that kind of like weird strong plastic that I had to cut them out in order to get them out properly. Like, those are the not good poly caps. I'm not a fan of those. Now, what I want to show you is something, I don't know if it's the color or if it's the plastic quality that came with this model kit. We have here a pair of God hands. We have here the primary color runner. Come on, focus. Thank you. I didn't think God hands were supposed to like stress the plastic like that. It's like barely pressing in at all. You can see, even unfocused, the white mark that it left. I don't know if that's a problem with the color, because this red runner, pardon the noise, red, which has been my experience, always has really bad like stressing issues. Well, I did it a couple times and it didn't stress that badly, but it showed. Now what I'm going to grab here is a runner from a 1983 Zappa Recon, the original mold of it. Like, look at that, that's ancient. Even this plastic, if I can get all the way through, well, no, even that, like, it barely stressed it at all. Like, look at that. That's hardly any stress. So it has, there is something going on with that quality of plastic, or just this color, because, now I'm going to say quality of plastic. We're going to try to get up here on the shoulder again, and you can see that these are stress marks from, this is a stress mark just from trimming, but in here on the arm, I'm trying to get the light on it just right. Well, I'll use the God hands to point. Right here, where the left nipper is, right there, that's a stress mark from putting the poly cap and the pieces together. Like, the poly caps aren't quite the right size for the holes that they made. So when you press the pieces together, you sandwich the shoulder piece, everything around that poly cap stressed out. And you can see it. It's bad. It's not good at all. But to finish, let us conclude. The Bushman comes with 2 pairs of hands, both open and closed, absolutely completely closed, and 1 open hand for a gun. This gun over here, which I've also put the Federation marking water slide on. This is just your typical handle, and yes, that is the end of it. There's no other piece that goes there. Back here, this what's that called? Not the butt, but I guess the stock. The stock back here did not want to stay, so this is glued in place. And to cover a few other parts here, these arm pieces right here were also glued in. Ooh, I got a little concerned there. I thought for a moment that I had broken a piece while showing it off on the headpiece, but no, it just came loose. There's these pieces here, and I believe there's not another spot on here that actually required glue, but there is a couple other places that didn't hurt to have glue, such as here on the back of the hand pieces, keeping the plastic polycap joint on the side skirt and the side skirt together. Those went together as well. And I think that was it. I know, like, I'm making this sound really bad, and it's probably not as bad as it is. I'm going to chalk it up to being spoiled by Bandai and Bandai's quality that has increased over the years. But this kit, according to my research, came out in November of 2016. That's only 3 years ago. And then when we look at what Max Factory and Motoroid and Good Smile Company have done with their other model kits, they're like really, really hit and miss. The Streletsy was bad, but the Mazen Kaiser was good. So I'm not understanding like what's going on here. But in conclusion, ZEON says, scrap it. I picked this up because at a convention I like to buy from a particular seller. I like to support them in their business, and this was the only thing that they had that I had any remote interest in. Like, as you increase the collection, and I'm gonna pop the camera off right here. This is one layer of backlog, followed by this box, followed by this tower. That is my backlog as of present. And as you increase in having more, there's less and less that you want that isn't like not out yet. Sorry about the shaky camera. But at picking that up, I'm glad I only paid $40 for it. It's a sore disappointment to have built after a year of sitting in the backlog. But I thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more gunpla reviews, and maybe, in time, dabbling in some anime reviews, because I've got a mountain of cartoons to watch as well. Thank you for watching, and as always, SIEG ZEON.